the KAWOOSH, for example, when you first started off doing the KAWOOSH in early season 1, it was a practical water effect that was being used for parts of it.
It was always a practical water effect, and it was always the same element all through the whole time I was there. I'm not sure what they did after I left, but
okay. Because
yeah,
I like later on, like by season 2 or 3, I assumed that was much more of a digital shot, because I couldn't see the water anymore, especially around like when it comes back down at the explosion. There's like this rush on the sides of the gate where where there's some kind of actual water there. That went away later on in as the seasons went along.
That would be so. Basically, the way that worked, and Nicole's notes of that is season 1 we had myself, we had John, my boss, and then Ted Ray was the other. We had alternating supervisors, and he was the alternating supervisor. And Ted Ray is a fantastic practical effects guy. Like, he's just the most. He ended up going on, I think he shot a number of seasons of Game of Thrones as the set suit on that. So he has he's like next level.
Yeah.
John as well is like this. I'm not trying to say that Ted was that they were any different. They just had different strengths, obviously. And John's actually really strong with practical too. But Ted was so we had Ted set up in John's studio in Toronto, this big tank of water, and we would fire air cannons into the water, and we would shoot it from all these different angles. And what we did was we shot front on side, 3/4, one side, one from the back. Like, you just shoot a whole bunch of different elements, and each angle you do 20 different times, and you light it a different way. Like, you just try all of these different things to gather all of these elements up. And then we have this element library that we go, when we shoot plates for the show, we would match the angle that we shot the tank at. So if you want the KAWOOSH to come straight at you, you'd set the camera up on the stage looking straight at the Stargate. And then we would take the element of the water element we shot, and we would composite that in, and then we would blend it in with a CG, because the Stargate itself was CG. That wasn't a water element. And then so over time, what changed was the compositing got better. We had more time to refine it because it was an effect we were doing a lot. Every season we would try and redo a new, because we had a library. So I'm sure as you watch it, you sort of see the same shot over and over. It's kind of like the Star Trek spaceship.
Same shots of the ship again and again.
Exactly.
Just different planet plates.
That's part of smart resource management.
Yeah.
You create shots that can become part of your library that everybody understands. It's a transition. It doesn't have to be brand new every single episode. But we would do new versions, and or we would do it in different locations. And then we just got better at being able to okay, now when the water element settles and we transition to the CG element, we can use a ripple effect to kind of transition from the water to the CG, and we would put a drop into the CG to create the ripples at times to the KAWOOSH, et cetera, et cetera. So I think what you're not necessarily seeing a different element. What you're seeing is just a refining of the compositing process.
Brad talked about Puddle Passes. And I know Bruce Woloshyn at Rainmaker did a lot of those, and he just paint it by hand. I always thought, why not have just a laser?
Yeah, we tried that.
And it wasn't as good.
It's tough to get the matte out of that. Basically what you're doing is you're creating a matte element that ripples across the body surface. Yeah. And for sure, this laser that goes across could give you a guideline of how the shape of the water goes frame by frame. But people like Brad and the compositors working under him, Bruce, all of the Stargates for the most part were done at Rainmaker, and Bruce was in charge over at Rainmaker of that stuff. They just got so good at how we can pick that up in 2 hours. There's no point in us spending an hour on set with some complicated laser rigs setup when they can just do
paint it out. And dealing with clothing and different elements that go along with the person going through. Bruce said, it used to take days, and by Atlantis, it was taking them hours to do.
Yes, exactly right.
But still, according to Brad, costs $5,000 for each Puddle Pass. He's like, why is this always the same price?
Did Brad actually say the price? That's hilarious.
Yes.
I don't think that's totally right. I think Brad might be overestimating that. I think by the end, the cost of a pass-through came down quite a bit. Oh, okay. I want to say I was budgeting $1,800 for one of those, but I could be wrong.
Per shot or per every time someone went through? Like
yeah,
if there were a
like,
bunch of people in a shot.
yeah, we would probably mark that up a little bit more. I would say maybe, I don't know. Here I am, Mr. Budget producer guy right now. But in
That's
my
funny.
mind,
John Lennox.
my gut is going to 2,500. Like I feel like I was writing that down in the budgets, but Brad will be like, "What are you crazy? Every time it's $5,000." The $5,000 was like every matte painting was always $5,000.
Wow.
It's funny. Like all of this stuff is so arbitrary, and you stick a number. It's even like that today. Like I budget today, and who knows what it's going to be. Like you're just creating a bucket that then allows you the room to try and do something good that makes everybody go, "Oh, that's exciting. Like we haven't done that before," or that I'm really happy with how that looks. And then everybody's happy because, people who did it got paid properly, and the people who bought the effect feel happy with the effect.
And I'm sure there were instances where, you guys had things created and they came back to you and said, "This is not working as we intended. We're going to have to spend more time on this if you want to get it right."
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Like I say, Matter of Time was a hard episode. I definitely lost some years of my life on that one.
Oh, gosh.
I'm trying to think of others. The early years were the toughest because we were really trying to figure stuff out then. And I was trying to figure stuff out. I was like young. I was in my early 20s or mid 20s. And I was doing this job that I was kind of learning on the go because Brad had so much confidence in me, which was incredible that he did. So I was like reading my Cinefex magazines every night and like, well, how are they doing it on the movies? How can we adapt that to the TV shows? We didn't have YouTube. There's none of this. Like there's no... Nowadays, the reference is just enormous. It's just an insane amount of reference that you can look at almost anything and just take it and match it. Like, we got to do that. And you have all of the control with CG stuff, which, for better or worse, it makes this process maybe not a lot simpler, but simpler because you have reference and you have control. Whereas what we were doing was no reference or mind reference, and then you're trying to do it based out of like shooting elements. Like let's shoot some burning steel wool and take that in the composite bay and use that as a mat to reveal this, and if we put a glow on that, and how's that look? And then you would bring it in and they'd be like, "Ooh, I don't know, that looks a little weird. What if we take the glow off and do more of the burning steel wool, or how about we put some sparks on there?" And it was very collaborative and very explorative. And, just a kind of a different world. Like we were kind of just figuring it out as we were going, which made it wonderful. It was just wonderful.
I can't imagine your stress management. I mean, because you had deadlines, and you had to figure stuff out in a finite amount of time. And at a certain point, it's like, okay, now it's gotta go to post-production or.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say none of that has changed. Like it's still hard. You still have to solve problems and find looks, and having it all be CG or majority CG does not make things any simpler.
Yeah.
Many people are working on movies today that are not properly big movies that don't have enough time to finish, and they are doing first version shots and they're showing up in the movie theater a week later.
Thanks for watching this clip from Dial the Gate. You can find the full live stream shows on our YouTube channel or visit dialthegate.com for the complete schedule. See you on the other side.